Trevon Diggs is officially back. We'll tell you when you'll see him on the field next.
You are Locked On Cowboys, your daily Dallas Cowboys podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Cowboys podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. I am your host, Marcus Mosher. You can follow me on Twitter at Marcus_Mosher. And joining me today, as always, is Landon McCool. You can follow him on Twitter at McCoolBCB. And on today's show, we're going to talk about the Cowboys' final preseason game, which happened on Friday. We're going to talk about some roster moves. But we got some big news on Saturday and now Sunday. Trevon Diggs, the Cowboys' all-pro cornerback who has been dealing with a knee injury, he is officially off the PUP list, which means he can practice. And more importantly, Landon, that means for sure he's not going to miss the first 4 games of the season. When do you think we'll see him on the field?
That's the multi-million dollar question, right? Obviously this indicates that it's not going to be week 5 or week 4, maybe, that like we initially anticipated. Though I guess it could still be week 4, and they're just pulling him off to kind of give him some lead time. I think, we'll probably know better information this coming week. I mean, at this point, he's been, I think, cleared to practice. So we'll see if he actually does get out there to practice. But I think if he, goes through practice this coming week, there probably isn't too much that's kind of preventing him from certainly playing in week 2 and 3. And week 1, I mean, coming off an ACL injury, it's pretty steep. You may convince yourself that you've got to play him and you got to throw him out there, but I think it'll be really, really close. But either way, like the fact that we're even discussing this really shows you that he's well ahead of schedule. Where we anticipated him being coming into this situation.
Yeah, because I remember last year when the injury happened, it wasn't a torn ACL. It was a tissue issue with his knee to repair some cartilage damage. But I remember at the time, Todd Archer from ESPN putting out a tweet where it's like, hey, this is like a 9 to 10 month recovery. And it's like the same time frame as an ACL injury. And when you and I were talking about this, like back in January and February, we were kind of circling, okay, hey, if he's ready for Thanksgiving or if he's ready by Halloween, that's probably a realistic timeline. And the fact that like week 1 is not completely out of the equation yet just shows you how hard that Diggs has worked this offseason, which is, I mean, we don't have to get into this today, but there seems like there's been this little battle between Trevon Diggs and the Cowboys medical staff. He thought he could go somewhere else and get better, do a better job rehabbing. And it's hard to say he was wrong.
Yeah, it feels like the Cowboys medical staff and training staff's taken a couple of different hits these last few weeks. I mean, first of all, there was the misdiagnosis on the field with Tyler Guyton's ACL injury, which is pretty rare. And then on top of this, somebody was talking to me about this on Twitter, and I think we need to understand, like, they were going after Diggs it wasn't just that he lost the $500,000 for not showing up to his workouts here. They were going after him, saying that he needed to work. He put more effort into his rehab because they felt like that was the part of the problem that caused the re-injury of the ACL, whatever this injury was, right? And for considering that he's well ahead of the schedule that laid out by the kind of coaches and everyone we've talked to, I think not only does the Cowboys fandom that kind of went after him owe him an apology, but certainly the Cowboys front office maybe owes him an apology because of this very situation. I think we have to tie in the fact that in the NFLPA surveys that were done last year about this team, one of the biggest complaints, if not the biggest complaint about the facilities, the Cowboys, was the lack of the volume of people available to do rehab training with these guys, while they're getting better. Britt, basically almost insists, it feels like, on working with these guys individually. And I can attest that, when you're at training camp, you see a lot of these guys that are supposed to be doing rehab kind of waiting their turn, just like waiting around. So I wonder if there isn't something to the idea that Trevon felt like he wanted to get back onto the field quicker, and he felt like he knew a way to get it done in Florida. And if the Cowboys kind of have egg on their face at this point, looking
Yeah,
with this whole situation.
and tie it to Savon Ravel, who the Cowboys drafted in the 3rd round this year, who they thought would be cleared by training camp. And we haven't seen him once practice yet. He didn't appear in any preseason games. He feels like a guy that's going to be destined to be on the NFI list, which means he's going to miss the first 4 games. It's just been not a great, let's say, last few months for the Cowboys medical staff, but we're not talking too much about them. Let's talk about Diggs, who, Landon, even if he's not ready for week 1, maybe they think it's a little too early to get him ready for that game. Let's say it's week 2. They give him those 10 days to get ready for the Giants. I think that changes a lot with the defense, because now,
Yeah.
rather than having to worry about Akeem Hall or Zion Childress or Andrew Booth, you could play Trevon Diggs on the outside. You could play Kyer Elam on the other side and Deron Bland in the slot. And suddenly, assuming those guys are all healthy and Diggs can get back to at least the level we saw last year, you feel good about your secondary.
Yeah, you do. And I think that, again, we talked about how the nickel position has been traditionally a position that Eberflus likes to get a little funky with. And I think having a guy like Bland being that nickel guy, a more versatile guy that can cover from the slot, can be a blitzer, I think it just kind of ups the floor on this defense a little bit. Again, I think we've been kind of framing this as, how do we get through the first month of the season with the nickelback situation kind of cobbled together between a couple different folks. But if we're just talking about one game, like, you can get by with McQuamu and maybe a call up from Childress on the practice squad, or one of these guys maybe slips through Keemon Hall, whoever it is, and then try to get through to week 2 if you need to, and you may not even have to do that. So the Cowboys are, the math on this has changed quite a bit, and I think the roster construction element of it is actually pretty fascinating.
Yeah, I'm just excited that Trevon Diggs is back, because it just gives him so many more options to play with at cornerback. A couple other quick injury stuff that we just need to hit on. Tyler Guyton, they said the last update they had from Guyton is really good. They're hoping he practices this week. That's not set in stone, but it does seem like they're starting to ramp him up in the same way that, like, even if he's not ready for week 1, I have to believe that he's going to be on the field sooner rather than later.
Yeah, again, another kind of positive report. It sounds like he's on his way to at least being on track to potentially play game 1. Now, they may get there and decide, hey, let's give him another week, like we've seen them do so many times
10
before.
days even in this case, right?
Yeah, so I wouldn't be shocked. But I think that, again, just another situation there, considering where we were that 1 hour of the guys that joined us during the squad show, in which we experienced the full range of human emotion between the ACL injury and then finding out that it was just a bone bruise. Imagine how far we've come since there, that Tyler Guyton could potentially even be in shooting distance of playing week 1.
And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they leave Diggs and Tyler Guyton at home, let them rehab in Dallas, and just they have those 10 days, try to get them ready for the Giants. Not saying that the Cowboys are trying to throw away this Eagle game. That's not the case. But week 1 is week 1, right? You've got 16 other regular season games. You want those guys healthy for the remainder of the year, not just one game. So
it's a Thursday night game too, so it's happening faster, which means it gives you a couple extra days of not having prep. So it's tough.
All right, let's talk about Jaden Blue. We also got an injury update on him, but let's also talk, Landon, about his first preseason performance. We will get to that next. This episode is brought to you by Rugiet. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them, but if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Ready. Rugiet Ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rugiet's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast, on average in 15 minutes, and effects can last up to 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. If traditional options haven't worked, Rugiet might be the answer. Over 150,000 men have already made the switch. So head over to Rugiet.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL to get 15% off today. That is RUGIET.com/LockedOnNFL and use promo code LockedOnNFL for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatments. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit Rugiet's website for full safety information. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling out your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or you're ready to crown a Super Bowl champion before week one even kicks off, this is your moment. So take a flyer on the MVP race. I kind of like Joe Burrow because I think he's going to have to put up a ton of numbers in Cincinnati, or you can crown your champ in August. Like I think the Ravens are finally going to push through and break that wall and hoist the Lombardi Trophy this year. Or you can parlay your favorite division winner dark horses. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. Welcome back to the Locked On Cowboys podcast. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. We actually have an important request from you guys. Locked On wants to hear from you. We've put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't like, and to answer questions about our advertising. So go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that is lockedonpodcast.com/survey. And you can also find the link in the show notes. Thank you for helping all of us out. All right, Landon, let's talk about Jaden Blue, who got some playing time on Friday night, looked pretty good, suffered an ankle injury. His status for this week is a little bit unknown. But what are your thoughts coming out of the preseason now on Jaden Blue?
Yeah, we got to see him do a little bit of kind of the stuff that we wanted to see, a little bit of in between the tackle. Got to see him break a tackle near the goal line to kind of bump it in just to see if he had that kind of thing in him, and he was able to do it. It was just kind of nice to get confirmation a little bit on his game, and it looks kind of as advertised. He's very quick, very, very fast. I think we definitely need to make sure, especially early on, that he's probably not going to be elite in breaking tackles in the backfield, right? Like, I think it's just tough. I mean, you're 190 pounds. I think you can run through arm tackles when you get some momentum, but if there's going to be early penetration on these runs, he's going to have a hard time to kind of get through that and get back to the line of scrimmage. But we also saw, when they block it up, he's able to cut it backside and get up to the second level so fast that we saw that 13-yard run, I think, early in his carries on that touchdown drive. And then that's kind of what we were hoping to see, right? The vision to see the kind of backside cut, and then to the decisiveness to get up north and south quickly. And then, again, we've talked about the thing I think that makes him elite as opposed to a lot of other 190-pound running backs is the way he ties his eyes and his feet together, and he's able to kind of see everything quickly and then get north and south, like I said, and create when the play is there. I think that's a problem for young running backs sometimes. They don't just commit and go, and I think that was not an issue for him.
So you saw all the flashes on Friday, like that run that he had down near the goal line, a phenomenal run. There was another run where he kind of pressed a hole a little bit and then dove back inside, and it was only like a 6-yard run, but that was like a veteran run where you're basically making a hole for yourself. Phenomenal, like just really, really good. You can see how naturally talented he is, but you can also see how raw he is. There was even on the kickoff, there was a kickoff where he kind of had both feet on the line, knelt on the ball, and the Cowboys got the ball at the 20 rather than the 35. And you saw Dak actually on the sideline kind of pull him and talk to him about that situation. You also see in his running a little bit, and the same thing you mentioned, like behind the line of scrimmage, knowing the value of a 0-yard run or a 1-yard run. Like, not every play is going to be a big run. Just sometimes mitigate the loss. I actually went back. Do you want to guess how many career carries Jaden Blue has in college and during his entire high school combined? High school career,
it's not.
4 years.
It's gotta be 600, 500 maybe.
646 from
I mean,
ninth grade to
Yeah.
the NFL. You're talking, I mean, Ashton Genty had like 800 over the last 2 years at Boise State, right? You're talking about
Mhm.
somebody who has not played a ton of football, and you see that at times.
Yeah, and I think that's, again, that's kind of why I was calling for, and we got to see a little bit of it, for him to get multiple drives, right? Because I think as we see him get deployed with the Cowboys, there's a chance, and I don't know, we don't know for sure how they'll do this, but there's a chance that when he gets into the game, he kind of gets into the game situationally. I think this is your real first and only opportunity to kind of evaluate him as a running back overall, like in his entire skill set, because there aren't going to be other opportunities to see him kind of do all these things in a live practice where people are taking him down to the ground. So I felt like they just needed to get to see a lot of Blue doing a whole bunch of different stuff right now, so they just know what he is good at and where they can deploy him.
So he also suffered a low ankle sprain. It doesn't seem like it's too serious, but these kind of things linger. It's that same foot that's kind of been bothering him all off season. And I would assume that he's probably going to miss a couple practices this week. But my question for you is, what does that mean for his early season production? Because he was playing behind Deuce Vaughn on Friday night. Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams both didn't play. Now, Miles Sanders was dealing with a shoulder injury, but is there a chance that we see Jaden Blue as like a somewhat healthy scratch in week 1?
Potentially. I mean, I think it's certainly a possibility. I wonder if they don't just like make him active and then limit his carries, to just a couple different carries. Like, and honestly, like the question is like, how many touches is he going to get in a game on a regular basis, right? Like
Well,
maybe
I thought on a regular
6,
basis, like
7.
7 to 8, maybe.
Yeah, like so I can't imagine. So maybe you just make him active and then you only kind of see if you get him on like 4 plays and then get him out safely while you can or something. Just see
But
if you
even
can
at
break
that
something.
point, like, is it worth having that guy active early in the season if he's not going to be playing like on special teams? Although we should give him credit, like he made a nice special teams tackle
He did.
on Friday night. He was a kind of backup kick returner, so maybe he does have more of a role on special teams. But it's the same thing. He's missed the last couple of weeks with an injury. He just got back, and now he might be missing more time. I don't know what that means for him early in the year.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on how much it's actually limiting him, right? And you would hope that low ankle sprain situation, not an uncommon injury for a running back. It'll be a good testament to see exactly how he plays through injury, right? Because that's kind of a thing that running backs have to do, especially in the NFL, and maybe not a thing he's had to do a ton as part of a very crowded backfield at the University of Texas.
Well, and honestly, this might be a good thing. Like, if you're going to be a starting running back in the NFL, you're going to have to play through some bumps and bruises. Like this just kind of happens. It's not like in college where you have at Texas, you've got Bijan Robinson and Roshan Johnson and all these other 5-star guys that can come out and carry the football. He's going to have to play through some pain. And I think in the long term, that's going to be a benefit for him.
Yeah, and I think it'll be we don't have any idea if he can do it or not. I mean, maybe he's just fine to go out there and play on it, and hope the worry you have is that re-injuring it or making it worse, obviously.
Yeah.
So I think they, as long as they don't overexpose him, it's a low ankle sprain. I think if he's able to get back in practice, it should be enough to make him active and let him get a couple different snaps in the first game, just to see if he can get something explosive happening and then get him out quickly.
All right, let's give some more of our takes from the Cowboys' final preseason game. I got to admit, I was like Micah at some points in the second half, like just laying on my couch with eyes. These last preseason games can get a little rough, Landon. I'm sure you felt the same. Let's talk about some takeaways next. This episode is brought to you by Yahoo Fantasy. The NFL season is right around the corner, and you can already feel the buzz. Fantasy football season is here. Everyone's researching, drafting, and building their championship squads. And if you haven't joined a league yet, now is the time, and it's all happening on Yahoo Fantasy. This year, I'm playing fantasy football on Yahoo Fantasy, and you should too, whether you're a first-timer or a veteran creating your millionth league. and Yahoo Fantasy is loaded with fun ways to compete and brand new features that make the game even better. And with season kickoff on September 4th, your Dallas Cowboys on September 4th, now is the time to start playing Yahoo Fantasy Football, which offers so many fun ways to compete. If you want more ways to play, try the brand new Yahoo Fantasy Guillotine League mode, where the lowest scoring team gets eliminated each week until there's only one team left standing. The NFL season kicks off on September 4th, so don't wait. Start your league today. Draft now at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. That is yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. Welcome back to the Locked On Cowboys podcast. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen, go check out the Locked On Fantasy Football podcast with Vinny Iyer and Michelle Majuk. Listen every day to prep for your fantasy draft and become the best manager out there so you can take home your league's trophy this season. Find Locked On Fantasy Football on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. All right, Landon, preseason takeaways, game 3. What do you got?
Well, I think that after watching the game, one of the things we talked about was guys that, that are finishing their drumbeat, right? That have had a drumbeat this whole time, and then this is their kind of last opportunity to just make sure they finish up. Not that they needed to finish out with a flourish or anything, but just finish, right? And I think, to me, the two guys who did finish with the flourish were James Houston and Winfrey, and Perrion Winfrey, right? Two guys who we've heard drum beats from this entire time. The conversation for the last 2 weeks has James Houston earned his way onto this football team? And I think with Winfrey, it's always been a situation where you felt like, yeah, he's probably on the team simply because of just a lack of talent at that position. But both of them played fantastic on Friday night. And I think that you saw Houston kind of dominate when he was out there early. Winfrey had a similar effect inside, it felt like.
Yeah.
And again, that's not super impressive, but it's what you were supposed to do. And considering it's the kind of last opportunity for us to see them after them consistently playing, making plays in training camp, consistently making plays in these preseason games, we've seen so many of these guys get all the way to the finish line and then fall off, right? And we talked about it before the game. To see these guys kind of finish out and finish strong, to me, I went in after the game and went ahead and put their names in on ink on my 53-man roster.
Yeah, I don't think there was anybody that changed whether I thought they made or missed the roster based on this final game. But there were guys coming out of this one where I just feel a lot better about. And Shamar James, the Cowboys' 5th-round pick from Florida at linebacker, he just made a play in all 3 games. He had an interception in this one. He read the quarterback perfectly. He's buried on the depth chart because the Cowboys do have a lot of depth at linebacker. But man, I feel really good about like his long-term upside of being like, maybe a 3rd linebacker as soon as next year. Like, I think he is so young. I think the Cowboys got something here.
It's totally nuts how the opinion on that position has changed in the last few weeks, right? Like and it's again, like, because it's Shamar James, it's Clark, it's all of these guys going out there and just showing a higher floor than they had under the previous administration. Having a guy like Shamar James as a potential, linebacker 4 or
5, because you got
5?
Murray, Sanborn, Overshown, Leafau, Damone Clark, so he could potentially even be 6, with Overshown.
So yeah, I do, and this is, again, we don't know. I did end up putting Murray on my 53-man roster, just because I saw that they didn't play him in this 3rd game, and I'm like, well, they're at least saving him for something. So I do think that he makes it, but again, like, I think I ended up keeping 6 linebackers, if I'm not mistaken, because I just think that all these guys, 5 linebackers, all these guys played well, and all these guys showed well. And I think all the guys who played in the game also, that are going to make the roster, all played well. So yeah, there was a clear line between the top 5 linebackers and everybody else. And they all felt like kind of the same, which felt like starter quality.
One other guy that I wanted to mention, just down roster, TJ Bass, I thought had played well in this game. He played well all preseason. According to Pro Football Focus, he allowed 1 pressure on 144 snaps during the preseason. He was also their highest graded run blocker. What a luxury to have Brock Hoffman and TJ Bass as your two backup interior offensive linemen. I thought both those guys had strong preseasons.
Yeah, in a classic sliding door scenario, TJ Bass might have been your starting right guard this year.
Yeah.
I think that there's a chance that he competes with Robert Jones and wins that competition.
If they draft Tedero McMillan at 12, right, that's probably who is starting at guard.
So yeah, and I do think what a luxury, like you said, and an opportunity, right, for potentially like teams that are desperate that do need a starter. Maybe they've got a piece that we need, a nose tackle that has some upside, or a running back, that you feel like is worth moving a player for. The Cowboys are lucky that they don't have a ton of depth everywhere, but they have a lot of depth at some valuable places.
Yes.
So the hope is that maybe they can use some of that to kind of even things out at spots where maybe they still need some bodies.
Last thing before we go, I thought Joe Milton just played better. He needed one of these games just to settle down, used his legs. I thought he was more accurate. Wasn't an amazing game or anything, but I thought he just played a more sound game.
No, and that's the point, right? Like he needed the game to play to be better, right? And I think he saw he took what he learned from that second game, and you saw the improvements, right? Like the footwork just seemed better. He was getting through his progressions, and it wasn't even just that. It was understanding that he had a limited amount of time, that he had to pull the trigger, and if he didn't get through his progressions, that's okay too, man. Just squirt out to the front of the pocket and pick up 6 or 7 yards. That's a positive play for the offense. So I think just understanding things a little bit better, in game, just awareness. There was another time when he ran for a first down and he didn't quite reach for the first down marker because he was more concerned with the defender than he was with the first down marker. It's stuff like that, right? He just needs to play more snaps to get better. But I'm still in on developing this guy. I think this is your last chance to kind of get him in a game to do that. But I think you hold on to him and just see what you got as the year develops. Maybe you've hit on something.
All right, that is it for today's show. We want to thank you for making Locked On Cowboys your first listen every single day. Check out the channel on YouTube, download the podcast wherever you get your podcast. Follow Landon on Twitter at McCoolBCB. I'm at Marcus_Mosher, and we will see you right back here tomorrow.